Hey there, Evolutionary. Joe Heller, and I'm thrilled that you're back today. Today I'm going to get a little bit more whacked out in talking about some things, and you see I've got a lot of stuff drawn here on this whiteboard. Now, what I'm trying to do here is trying to disseminate things I see in like a 4 or 5 dimensional aspect that have been shown to me by my guides. And I know that some of you have been here since the very beginning and know that I can get a little kind of far out in some of my videos. So today I'm going to kind of stretch that a little bit further and really kind of talk about kind of an aspect of angelic jumping, which I've talked about before, but this really has to do with lifetimes. And I want you to really kind of try to capture this in a multi-dimensional aspect, kind of like this cube that I drew here, because this is what is really a soul matrix memory complex, or soul memory matrix complex. I don't even know what to call it really, but it's kind of this thing that develops like as the soul develops through past lifetimes. So here I'm going to try to give you a little snapshot of what happens, not actually in the space between incarnations, but really kind of how the evolution of physical incarnations, and I'm not going to go into the etheric or non-physical incarnations in this particular video, because that would be a little bit too tricky to go into in a 10 to 12 minute video. So why don't we talk about this for a second? So first thing I want to talk about is multiple lifetimes, past lives, which is PL, current lifetimes, I've got like a little matrix down here, is current lifetimes, future lifetimes, and LT is lifetimes. Makes sense, right? So what I'm going to do is focus right now in this current lifetime. So this individual right here is existing. He is or she is alive right now. So this is the current lifetime. Now, what's interesting about this is this lifetime, which is the aspect of your soul, is a past lifetime. And of course, you've got many past lifetimes all tied back from the future lifetime. Now you've got your future lifetime. Now, what's interesting about the future lifetime is now this, your current lifetime, is a past lifetime. Which means, guess what? You're dead. I mean, we all got to die, right? But that's a very important nuance to understand, is to understand since there is no time, there's no such thing as time. Time is a linear thing that we've created, that you and I are already dead. So we have kind of taken the big step across the pond, and we're already in the ethers, we're already in our future incarnation, our incarnations, I should say, all coexisting at the same time. And the cool part about this is that because we're coexisting, because our soul is so interconnected, we are and have the ability to connect with our past and future selves in a way that is, well, it's pretty amazing actually, because I think this is actually some of the ways that I get, matter of fact, I know it's how I've been disseminated a lot of this information that I'm sharing with you today, because I can guarantee you no one's ever put together a soul matrix mind map like this that ties all the lifetimes together. And again, this gets way more complex. I don't even know how I can really kind of figure out how to draw the multidimensional aspects on a whiteboard, but maybe at some point I'll try. So getting back to this, so we've got our current lifetime, and then a future lifetime, and then in this lifetime, which we're existing right now, and the future lifetime, which becomes our current lifetime, we've already transitioned. Now, what's interesting is during this current lifetime, let's just kind of mix things up a little bit. So when I say mix things up, how many of you in the audience, my listeners, watchers, I don't even know what to call you guys, just like my tribe, because you guys are freaking awesome. How many of you have actually thought about or heard the term walk-in? So a walk-in is actually when somebody might have a near-death experience, their soul leaves the body, and another soul steps into the body, because the body is nothing more than an avatar. Now, what's interesting about that is that a soul can enter the body if the existing soul goes, dude, this life is like freaking crazy. I can't believe I'm in 2020. This is like, man, it's kind of like Marty in Back to the Future, where the professor goes, Marty, whatever you do, don't go to 2020. It's like crazy there. So there's probably a lot of souls going like, get me the heck out of here. But hey, it's like being on a roller coaster and just holding on for the ride, and just it's a lot of fun. So the soul, a walk-in, can come into this avatar, this body, and it can come in singularly, or it could come in and share space with, let's say, a younger soul in order to teach this younger soul and show this younger soul how to evolve through this crisis or this crazy world that we're living in called 2020. So as we advance, this allows the current soul, if they do share, it allows them to evolve at a faster rate. And of course, as we kind of walk through this, we can kind of see future life, and then I'm kind of dropping down current lifetimes and current lifetimes. And then one of the things that I mentioned very early on is that when you are connecting with yourself, you've got a creation process that takes place relative to linking and creating a symbiotic relationship when you're able to open these gates in order to connect with past, present, and future self, which enhances your abilities to capture information from the infinite mind, from the great mind of the universe, because these are just different nodes. Our souls and aspects are different nodes. We're all coexisting at the same time, but we are aligned with, remember, the matrix memory complex of our soul, which is what we are developing. And so as we strengthen the connections within the different souls, we gain a evolutionary card in order to go faster, to evolve faster, because we've now been able to attune ourselves to a greater essence of who we are. And if we're able to attune ourselves to a greater essence, we're able to pull things in, knowledge, wisdom, teachings, to help us evolve in a faster pace. So walk-ins are pretty interesting. Now, what's also interesting is, let's say that you have never been in 3 dimensions or in a physical avatar before, ever. Now, this is interesting because we have a lot of starseeds on the planet, and what happens with a starseed, at least the first-time visitor within a physical 3D realm, is they draw from the Akashic records. So the Akashics not only hold information, they actually have templates, and I've never actually heard anybody talk about this, but it's kind of interesting because they hold templates of past lives that a new soul coming into the physical has never been able to, they can access, to give them some grounding. So in other words, this template for the first lifetime gives them a reference point, or reference points from a physical standpoint from other people that have lived. And quite frankly, probably just like any soul coming in for the first time, it's like, wow, I'm at a candy store, I want that one, that one, that one, that one. And that's why when somebody does a past life regression, they are Cleopatra or Mark Antony or George Washington. It's not that they were really those in their past lives, because there is a differentiation. There is a template, and then there's actually a real past life that you have existed in this plane on. But it is impossible, even for a past life regressionist, to be able to tell the difference between a templated entry or into that avatar, into your avatar, who you are right now, and someone that's actually lived a real lifetime. So when you are in a regression, you go, yeah, I was this like really cool dude, or this really hot and powerful person, or whatever. Guess what? It may or may not be true. But in reality, it is true, because there is no distinction between the reality of that physical existence and the templated reality which you've drawn when you came to this planet the first time. Now, I said first time here, but guess what? Your first time could have been 3 lifetimes ago. So 3 lifetimes ago, you came to this planet and you drew templates in, and now you've had 3 other lifetimes, but in addition to the 3, 10, whatever lifetimes you've had, there is no differentiation to your soul at this stage in the game that you templated those other lifetimes in order to transition into creating an environment which you could thrive in or survive in, because quite frankly, look at Earth. It's like the Wild West. I mean, again, look at 2020. I mean, it's like crazy. Anyway, so when we look at this, we get a chance to play with the linear matrix aspects. But here's something else which is pretty interesting, which a lot of people, and I've never actually heard a past life regressionist talk about this, but we don't have to go into a linear fashion. So lifetimes are not necessarily linear. We learn, our soul learns at the pace that it wants to learn in. So in other words, I can be incarnated here, and then I can incarnate in a past life in my next life. Because there's something that I needed to do that in order to enable a specific learning that I had in this lifetime back then. And so this is an interesting way to look at the dynamics of probabilities within the matrix of this complex that we're creating within the soul, or for the soul, for our souls, within this infinite mind. It's really pretty cool. So as we look at nonlinear time, we're looking at all these different aspects where you can begin to, and again, I'm just talking about here on Earth, but you can also cross the boundaries into different realms, different realities, different dimensions. Because there's a Joe Heller right now talking to you doing this, and then there's probably a Joe Heller maybe at a pub somewhere in a different world or different reality having a beer or whatever. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there because what's interesting is we all live, each of our different aspects of ourselves, different lives. We bring back different experiences so that we can capture all this for the exponential growth of who we are. Now, one of the things about this is a lot of people think that, oh yeah, I've got like 1 or 2 or 3 lifetimes. No, you've actually got millions and millions of lifetimes in order to seek and understand how to evolve back into source, which is really kind of a cool thing because if you think about each lifetime, it's a playground. And I wanted to bring that up because it's essential for us to understand because so many of us live in fear. I know when I first started doing these videos, I was like going, God, I'm crazy. What am I doing? Am I sharing all this crazy esoteric teachings that I've gotten? And by the way, you can probably see in the background here, this is a table that I've got with, I don't know, a few hundred of my drawings. I'm trying to map out and trying to figure out how to put together a course for you guys in order to share some very crazy teachings. And also, and I actually had a really wonderful comment on my YouTube channel about starting teaching some of these myths that I talked about and dispelling some of these myths. And I promise I'm going to do that. I'm just trying to lay a foundation so I don't freak people out too badly when I start talking about things that have been taught for 1,000 years in spirituality that are completely false. They're false teachings. Maybe I should get like falseteachings.com or something and do like a completely different YouTube channel just on false teachings because there's a lot. Anyway, back to this. So please leave me your comments. Let me know what you think around this. See if you can practice creating these multidimensional aspects in your mind's eye so that you can see beyond and again go forward and go back. Because again, what I'm trying to do is get you into a thinking place that you can create these points of focus, and these points of focus allow you to connect with your past selves, your future selves, all at the same time. Because remember, there's no delineation of time. And because you're doing this, the whole goal is to accelerate the ability for you to evolve and move through the realms, dimensions, however you want to frame it. And I'll go in a little bit more detail because a lot of the stuff, like I mentioned in my last video, is dimensions are completely made up. They're not real. They're just ways for our human mind to be able to grasp, like, okay, there's layers and things we've got to go through, but there's really no such thing as dimensions. So with that, please leave me your comments. I know this is like a pretty crazy drawing. And maybe if you want me to go a little bit deeper on something relative to this, but the whole thing is start thinking differently. Think about how you can maybe look from your future self back to this current lifetime. And it's kind of like, I think some of these personal development people talk about, well, what would your future self do? What kind of advice would they give you? Well, it's kind of like that. but kind of like on a much more elevated thinking way or evolutionary way of looking at it. But that's essentially the truth. But it's not only advice, you're actually connecting. You're actually feeling the full effect, the memories, and the sensories. What's going to be kind of funny is, when my future self connects with me when I was like a teenager or like in my 20s in college, if they connect with me, they're like, dang, is this what a hangover feels like? Because alcohol or something hasn't been around for like, I don't know, 100, 200 years, I don't know. But anyway, they'd be like, dang, that's what that soul named Joe and that incarnation did. So with that, please leave your comments. I love you guys. Thanks so much for hanging in there with me. It's a little bit of a crazy subject. I know, it's a little wacky. But everything I'm teaching is like stuff that is important in your evolution. So I'm Joe Heller. Let me know what you think. And I appreciate your time and value you guys for watching this video. So much love. Talk to you soon.